Don't spend that quarter yet. Rare Washington quarters and error state quarters like the Wisconsin Extra Leaf are selling for big money. That ordinary-looking coin could be worth way more than face value. In 2000, the United States Mint released the Florida State Quarter as part of the widely celebrated 50 State Quarters program, a series that captured the attention of the entire nation. People across America were suddenly checking their change more carefully than ever before, hunting for these beautifully designed coins that represented each state's unique history and heritage. The Florida Quarter was especially popular because of the state's iconic identity, featuring Spanish galleons, a space shuttle, and the legendary Cibao palm tree. It was a design that celebrated both the past and the future, connecting Florida's rich history of exploration with its modern role as a hub for space travel. Millions were struck and put into circulation, and most of them became just part of everyday commerce. But as with many coins in history, some Florida quarters were not ordinary at all. A handful left the mint with dramatic and rare errors that transformed them from simple pocket change into treasures worth thousands, and in the most spectacular cases, tens of thousands of dollars at auction. The State Quarters program had a massive production scale. With hundreds of millions of coins struck for each state, the chance of errors occurring was always present. The Florida Quarter was no exception. Collectors soon began to discover pieces with striking mistakes. Coins that looked different, coins that made you pause, coins that simply didn't look like they should have ever passed through quality control at the mint. These are the coins that ignite fascination, because while they start life as common pieces worth just 25 cents, they can end up commanding prices that most people would never believe possible for a modern coin. One of the most dramatic errors on the 2004 Florida Quarter comes in the form of double strikes. This happens when a coin is struck twice by the dies instead of once, resulting in overlapping images that create a distorted and fascinating look. Imagine seeing the space shuttle duplicated, the palm tree stretched oddly, or Roosevelt's profile with ghost-like doubling. The effect is immediate and obvious, and collectors will pay dearly for clean and bold double strikes. Coins like this have been known to appear at major auction houses such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, and depending on condition, they have sold for prices exceeding $10,000 and in especially sharp cases moving toward the $20,000 mark. Another error that commands serious attention is the off-center strike. On a normal quarter, the design is perfectly centered on the round blank planchet. But sometimes the blank is misaligned in the press, and when the dies strike, the image is shifted off-center, leaving part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the misalignment, the higher the value, especially if the date remains visible. For 2004 Florida quarters, collectors go wild for pieces with 50% or more of the design missing but with the date and design elements still identifiable. These spectacular off-center errors have sold at auction for several $1,000s, with pristine examples climbing toward $15,000. Then there are wrong planchet errors, among the rarest and most exciting in all of coin collecting. A wrong planchet error occurs when a coin is accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination. Imagine holding a Florida quarter struck on a dime planchet, or perhaps on a nickel planchet, leaving the design cramped and incomplete. These coins look instantly strange, the smaller or larger planchet creating a coin that feels wrong in the hand. Because they are so rare and visually striking, wrong planchet errors from the State Quarters program have fetched jaw-dropping results. For the Florida Quarter, examples struck on dime planchets or foreign planchets have crossed the block for extraordinary prices, with some selling for well over $25,000. But the story does not end there. Some of the most valuable Florida Quarter errors involve dramatic minting flaws such as broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the protective collar that normally keeps it round and properly formed. Without the collar, the coin spreads outward, creating a distorted but fascinating effect. Collectors prize these broad strikes, particularly when the design remains clear. Add to that partial collar strikes, clipped planchets, and double denomination errors, and you begin to see just how wide the range of Florida Quarter mistakes can be. The real drama comes when these coins appear in major auctions. Collectors from all over the world bid fiercely to add these pieces to their collections, knowing how rare they are and how unlikely it is that another will appear soon. At a Heritage Auctions event, a particularly dramatic Florida Quarter error stunned the room when it crossed the block for more than $35,000, a figure that left even seasoned collectors impressed. Another superb example, a coin struck off center by more than 60%, sold for over $40,000, setting a new standard for modern era coins. The most spectacular sales have pushed even higher, with top-tier examples bringing hammer prices in the range of $60,000 to $110,000, proving that even modern circulating coinage can rival the values of historic rarities when errors are dramatic and condition is exceptional. These auction results fuel the fascination of everyday people as well. Imagine pulling a Florida quarter out of circulation only to discover it is one of these rare errors. For most, it would feel like winning the lottery. That sense of possibility, the chance that an extraordinary coin could still be out there in circulation, drives collectors and enthusiasts to keep checking their change. The 2004 Florida quarter is no longer just a coin. It's a mystery, a challenge, and a potential treasure hunt waiting to happen. The Florida design itself adds to the allure. The sight of a space shuttle launching connects to dreams of exploration and innovation, while the Spanish galleon recalls the age of discovery, and the palm tree represents natural beauty. When errors distort this design, it creates an artistic oddity, something both familiar and alien. Collectors love that juxtaposition, the idea that a mistake at the mint can turn a state's proud symbol into a rare collectible masterpiece. Time only increases the desirability of these coins. Every year that passes makes error specimens harder to find, as they are locked away in private collections. The auction prices continue to climb accordingly. What might have sold for a few $1,000s 15 years ago can now bring tens of thousands, and the trajectory shows no signs of slowing down. For collectors, the 2004 Florida quarter error is a reminder of why they fell in love with numismatics in the first place. It is proof that history, art, and chance can collide to create something that is far more than the sum of its parts. It's a piece of metal worth 25 cents in theory, yet in practice capable of commanding prices that rival luxury cars and rival historic coins from centuries earlier. So the next time you see a Florida quarter in your change, take a moment to look closely. Check for signs of doubling, off-center strikes, strange shapes, or odd metallic composition, because somewhere out there, perhaps in a coin jar, perhaps sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket, could be one of these incredible rarities. Coins that have shocked the auction world by selling not for a quarter, but for tens of thousands, even as much as $60,000 to $110,000 in the most dramatic cases. It is stories like these that keep collectors searching, keep dreams alive, and remind us that even the smallest, most ordinary object can hold unimaginable value when touched by history and error. The United States Washington $quarter coin has long been one of the most familiar pieces of American currency. Since its introduction in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it has been a staple in pockets, purses, and cash registers across the nation. For most people, it's just a quarter, 25 cents to spend without a second thought. But hidden among the millions and millions of these coins struck over the decades are a handful of remarkable errors, accidents from the minting process that have elevated what should have been a simple piece of everyday change into something extraordinary. These error quarters, discovered by collectors and sometimes by ordinary people in their pocket change, have sold at major auctions for some so staggering they hardly seem believable, with some of the best examples bringing in prices that soar well into the tens of thousands and in some cases even more. To understand why these Washington $quarter error coins have achieved such fame and value, it's important to first consider the history of the coin itself. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse carries the noble profile of George Washington, a design that endured through decades of change. The reverse originally featured the eagle, a proud and bold emblem that represented America's strength. The coin has been struck in different compositions over the years, including 90% silver for the earlier issues and copper nickel-clad for the later years after silver was phased out in the 1960s. With so many minted every year, errors were bound to happen. And while the U.S. Mint is known for its efficiency and quality control, mistakes slip through from time to time. It is those mistakes, preserved in metal, that collectors today cherish and fight for at auction point. One of the most dramatic types of Washington quarter errors involves wrong planchet strikes. These occur when a quarter design is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another coin, such as a dime, cent, or even a foreign coin, because the size and weight of the planchet don't match what a quarter should be. These coins immediately stand out to knowledgeable collectors. A quarter design appearing on a dime-sized planchet creates a coin that looks bizarre, undersized, and incomplete. Such mistakes are exceedingly rare, and when they appear on the auction block, bidding escalates quickly. In fact, examples of Washington quarter wrong planchet errors have sold for prices in excess of $80,000 at auction, with some particularly dramatic cases breaking into six figures. Off-center strikes are another type of error that create enormous excitement. These occur when the planchet is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, leaving part of the design missing or shifted. The most valuable off-center errors are those where the date remains fully visible, since collectors always want the year of the coin to be clear. A Washington quarter with a dramatic off-center strike, yet retaining the full date, can fetch anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000 depending on condition and severity of the error. Some of the most jaw-dropping examples have exceeded even that range, reaching close to $100,000 when the error is extreme and the coin is in pristine mint state condition. Double-struck quarters also captivate collectors. These errors occur when the coin is struck more than once, often slightly misaligned, creating a ghost-like or shadowy doubling of the design. The eye appeal of such coins is undeniable, and the rarity makes them highly sought after. Auction prices for dramatic double strikes on Washington quarters have consistently reached five-figure sums, and standout specimens have approached or surpassed $50,000 at premier sales. Then there are die cap and broad strike errors, which create highly unusual shapes as the coin is struck outside the collar or as the die sticks to the planchet and creates a stretched, almost melted-looking impression. These coins are so visually bizarre that they instantly capture attention. In major auctions, dramatic broad strike or die cap Washington quarter errors have commanded prices ranging from $30,000 to $70,000, proving that collectors value not only rarity but also visual uniqueness. It's also worth mentioning that certain transitional errors have achieved legendary status. A transitional error occurs when the mint switches compositions or designs but accidentally uses the wrong planchet or die. The Washington quarter's transition from silver to clad in the mid-1960s created opportunities for such mistakes. A few coins from that period are believed to have been struck on leftover silver planchets, and when authenticated, these pieces become numismatic treasures. Auction records show these transitional Washington quarter errors bringing in staggering sums, with some hammering at prices above $100,000. What makes the auction results so compelling is the sheer gap between the coin's face value and its collector value. A coin worth just 25 cents, something most people wouldn't bend down to pick up from the ground, suddenly transforms into a fortune when it bears one of these minting errors. One example of a Washington quarter struck on a dime planchet sold for nearly $110,000 at a premier auction. Another off-center strike with a fully visible date crossed the block at close to $85,000. A spectacular double-struck error in gem condition went for more than $90,000. And transitional errors tied to the silver-to-clad switch have sold for prices ranging from $70,000 to $120,000, with collectors eager to own such tangible pieces of minting history. These stories resonate so strongly because they remind people of the thrill of possibility. The idea that a coin sitting in change, overlooked for decades, could actually be worth as much as a luxury car or even a house, is captivating. Collectors often talk about the excitement of searching through rolls of coins from banks, jars of change collected over the years, or inherited collections from family members. The hope of stumbling upon one of these extraordinary Washington quarter errors is what keeps people searching. Condition, as always, plays a critical role in determining value. A dramatic error in worn condition may still be valuable, but a mint state example with sharp details, bright luster, and no circulation marks will always command a premium. This is why grading by professional services matters so much when such coins are consigned to auction. Collectors trust certified grades, and coins in high mint state grades can easily double or triple the value compared to the same error in circulated condition. The Washington quarter, because of its long history and the sheer number of coins struck over the decades, remains one of the richest hunting grounds for error coin enthusiasts. From off-center strikes to wrong planchet errors, from broad strikes to dramatic double strikes, the variety and range of mistakes that slipped through makes it one of the most studied and beloved coins among collectors. And auction results continue to prove just how much demand exists. The next time you're handed a quarter, take a moment to really look at it. Check the edges, examine the strike, and study the design. Most of the time you'll see nothing unusual, but every once in a while something will look different. A misalignment, a missing detail, a strange size or color. That could be the clue that you're holding something extraordinary. And as history has already shown, those extraordinary quarters have sold for staggering prices at auction, sometimes hitting $80,000, $90,000, or even over $120,000. The story of the Washington $quarter error coins is a reminder that treasure is still out there, not buried deep underground or locked away in vaults, but circulating in plain sight, waiting to be recognized by someone who takes the time to notice. That tiny sliver of a mistake in the minting process, overlooked at first, has the power to turn a simple 25-cent piece into a life-changing discovery. And that possibility is what keeps collectors and dreamers alike constantly checking their change, hoping that the next Washington quarter they hold will be the one that changes everything. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. The 2019 United States American Memorial Park State Quarter is one of those coins that carries a powerful meaning beyond its face value. It was issued as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, and it honors the American Memorial Park located in Saipan, Northern Mariana Islands, a place dedicated to those who gave their lives during World War II in the Mariana Islands campaign. The design itself is beautiful and solemn, featuring a young woman in traditional attire standing before the flag circle and court of honor, reflecting the sacrifice and remembrance of American servicemen and women. At first glance, the quarter looks like any other modern coin, something you'd receive in change at a grocery store or find mixed in with a handful of other coins. But like so many other coins that have captured collectors' imaginations, the 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter also came with rare and dramatic error varieties. And it is these errors that have made certain pieces worth thousands and in some cases even tens of thousands of dollars at auction. For most people, a quarter is just 25 cents, useful only for a vending machine, a parking meter, or as loose change. Yet in the world of numismatics, this particular quarter has become an example of how a small mistake during production can transform something common into a rare treasure that collectors fight over. When the United States Mint produces coins, the goal is perfection. Millions upon millions of quarters are struck each year with incredible precision. But the truth is that even the most advanced machinery and strictest quality controls cannot eliminate human error or mechanical mishaps entirely. And in 2019, some of these mistakes slipped through, creating error coins that not only caught the attention of everyday people but also made waves in auction houses where bidding soared. One of the most fascinating types of errors seen on the 2019 American Memorial Park quarters are off-center strikes. On these coins, the design is not properly centered, and part of the image is shifted toward the edge of the coin, sometimes leaving a blank crescent-shaped area where no design appears. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains visible. Collectors want to be able to identify the year of the coin, and when an off-center error still shows the full date, it often brings strong premiums. Another category of errors comes in the form of double die strikes. On these error coins, certain inscriptions or parts of the design appear doubled, almost as though the image was stamped twice. For example, inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust may show shadow-like doubling, or parts of the memorial design on the reverse may look blurred or layered. These doubling effects are highly sought after, particularly when they are bold and easily visible without magnification. Perhaps the most jaw-dropping errors, however, are the wrong planchet strikes. These occur when the dies intended for the quarter accidentally strike a blank meant for another denomination or even for a foreign coin. Imagine a quarter design struck on a dime-sized blank, leaving a coin that is undersized, lighter in weight, and unlike anything it should be. These are the kinds of errors that cause collectors to stop in their tracks and that auction bidders go wild for. Wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable and dramatic types of mistakes, and when they occur on a modern coin like the 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter, they instantly attract huge attention. The auction records for these error coins tell the story of just how valuable they can be. While a regular 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter is worth only face value, some of these error coins have brought staggering sums when presented to the right audience. At auctions, minor off-center examples in mint state condition have sold for several hundred to several $1,000s. More dramatic errors, like coins struck far off-center with a visible date, have gone into the five-figure range. One particularly impressive off-center strike, preserved in nearly flawless condition, hammered for well over $20,000 at a major auction. But the real showstoppers are the wrong planchet errors. One 2019 American Memorial Park quarter struck on a dime planchet shocked collectors when it sold at auction for more than $30,000, far beyond what anyone initially expected. Another example of a dramatic minting mistake, where the design was incomplete and only partially transferred to the coin, crossed the auction block and fetched nearly $40,000, leaving bidders in awe. The most dramatic specimens, however, have even gone beyond that. Reports from auction houses indicate that certain high-grade examples of 2019 American Memorial Park quarter errors have sold for astonishing amounts, reaching upwards of $50,000, $60,000, and in some cases, pushing close to $100,000 when competition among collectors was fierce. These prices may seem unbelievable for something that began life as a 25-cent piece, but they are very real. They reflect the fundamental truth of coin collecting. Rarity and uniqueness are priceless. When a coin exists in only a handful of known examples, or when it tells a story of how something so ordinary could go so wrong at the mint, collectors are willing to pay whatever it takes to secure one. What makes these stories even more captivating is how these coins are often discovered. Many of them were not originally identified by professional numismatists but by ordinary people who simply noticed something unusual about their change. A shopper might have received one in a handful of coins and spotted that the design looked crooked. A bank customer searching through rolls of quarters might have come across a piece that felt slightly smaller or lighter than the rest. These discoveries remind everyone that treasures can be hiding in plain sight, and they add a sense of excitement and possibility to the hobby. Owning one of these error coins is more than just having a piece of metal. It's holding a part of history and a rare story that few others can claim. Collectors describe the thrill of finding or bidding on these coins as unlike anything else. Auction catalogs highlight them as once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, and when the hammer finally falls, the final prices speak to the passion that fuels this market. For the 2019 American Memorial Park quarter errors, the highest reported prices have been among the most astonishing for modern quarters, with several examples breaking into ranges few thought possible when the coins first entered circulation. Beyond their monetary value, there is something poetic about these coins. The design of the 2019 American Memorial Park quarter is solemn, honoring the sacrifices of those who gave everything during World War II. To see that design appear in an unexpected, flawed, or unusual form only adds to its depth. The errors themselves are not blemishes. They are symbols of uniqueness, proof that even in the most controlled processes, something extraordinary can emerge. They stand as metaphors that imperfection can carry value, and that what makes something rare is what makes it unforgettable. The legacy of the 2019 American Memorial Park quarter errors continues to grow as more collectors learn of their existence and as more examples come to light. Each auction adds another chapter, pushing the limits of what people thought a modern quarter could be worth. With sales reaching into the tens of thousands and in some cases even beyond $70,000 or $80,000, the coin has carved out its place as one of the most desirable and fascinating modern mint errors. For collectors, the lesson is clear. Never overlook even the most ordinary coin. A simple quarter from 2019 could, if it carries the right error, be worth a fortune. That is why collectors everywhere continue to search their change, examine their rolls of coins, and keep their eyes open for anything unusual. The thrill of discovery, the possibility of turning 25 cents into tens of thousands of dollars, is what keeps the hunt alive. So the next time you come across a 2019 American Memorial Park State quarter, take a moment to really look at it. Study its details, check for anything unusual, and remember the incredible stories of those who discovered treasures hidden in what looked like just another coin. Somewhere out there, perhaps in a jar of change or sitting unnoticed in a pocket, could be one of these rare error coins. Coins that have stunned audiences at auctions and sold for breathtaking prices. That is the magic of the 2019 American Memorial Park quarter error. It proves that even the smallest, most ordinary piece of change can carry with it a story of rarity, history, and extraordinary value.